Welcome into your Sport and Order Thursday, a NBA Finals, MLB, and Olympic version as we head into Game 2 tonight. That's right, Gerald, Bourguet, NBA editor, lead Suns writer for the Step Back FanSided Valley of the Suns podcast host. You had to have Gerald on the show today. Gerald, thank you for making time before you go see the Suns take a 2-0 lead. We'll see. Appreciate your time today, Gerald.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Mark.
And my main man from the Chicago Audible podcast, the editor-in-chief. He's got a master's from DePaul. He's got an undergraduate BA from the greatest school in the land, which is, of course, my alma mater, the University of Iowa. Nicholas Moreano, good afternoon to you, sir.
How's it going, Mark? Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to this battle. These are the two young guns. You are, as I was saying in the pre-show, these are the two stocks that I would be buying right now if there was sports. Maybe we can get that going on another venture, but we'll discuss that after the show. 7 questions. If you're first joining Sport and Order, this is how we do it. 7 questions. You get 30 seconds to respond to each. I pick a winner on each question, so we're playing to 4. Yes, the judge and the jury. Occasionally, Hunter Armour will be in my ear with an idea on who wins a question every now and then, but mostly it's right here. So I do feel the pressure to do this accurately, which, by the way, I do every single week. So thinking about that again, I feel no pressure because I'm always correct. We're going to start, though, with the NBA today. We got 2 NBA questions. And, Joe, we're going to start with you because this is home base for you. It is game 2 of the NBA Finals, but game 1, I think we all saw a very convincing Phoenix Suns win, even though there was, I guess, some optimism for Milwaukee because Giannis looked healthier than some expected. But I thought the Suns clearly established themselves early in the series as perhaps the better team. The question is this: is this just game 1, or is it what I'm seeing perhaps is a distinct sign of what is to come for the rest of the series? I'm open to both sides here, obviously. Gerald, what do you think?
I think the Bucks can play better, but this is just what the Suns do. You know, they surgically pick teams apart in the pick and roll with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They hunt those mismatches. They hit mid-range jumpers, and they just punish mistakes. Like, I think Giannis looked good, but he looked kind of limited in that second half. And if he doesn't look more like himself, this could be a quick series because Mike Budenholzer is not a great adjustments coach, and Monty Williams is. So whether Milwaukee was in drop coverage or switching pick and rolls, the Suns just looked more prepared. They didn't even shoot well from 3 in game 1. So if the Bucks just can't play better or more aggressive and force the issue, I think we could see a lot more of what we saw in game 1.
Interesting, underlining a couple of key points. Nicholas, what do you have?
You know, I think it's just game 1. And although Giannis had 20 points and looked a little better than some expected, he only had 11 field goal attempts in that game. And outside of the game where Giannis got injured against the Hawks, he did that last on May 7th in the regular season. So I think you're going to see a more aggressive Giannis Antetokounmpo in the second game. And the Bucks, look, they have to adjust to that pick and roll defense because Brook Lopez in that second quarter was defending Devin Booker and Chris Paul one too many times for anybody to like. So I think they're going to have to adjust that game plan if they want to have any success. And Drew Holiday in this one was just terrible. So he needs to play a lot better.
So it's interesting because you're both teeing up the adjustments that need to be made by Milwaukee, but I'm actually leaning with Gerald here because Mike Budenholzer, is there any evidence that you're capable of doing this? And not only are you dealing with Monty, but you're also dealing with a very adept Chris Paul here who's going to be one step ahead at all times. And the Suns are just so good at picking you apart that, to me, like, even if Milwaukee makes adjustments, and Gerald, I thought, and you actually both said it really, but look, Giannis can't be this level. He's got to be up from where he's at. And I think that's another huge problem. So I do think we're headed towards a Suns perhaps early series here, 5 games, 6 games at the most. So, Gerald, you're on the board here, 1-0. As we go back in NBA history, it's making its way around Twitter today, so I thought we'd stop and address it on Sport and Order. 11 years ago today, July 8th, 2010, LeBron made his, quote, decision to take his talents to South Beach. So we do have the benefit of time now and everything that's happened. Looking back, did LeBron make the right decision? Nicholas, what do you think?
I think ultimately he did. He did reach the mountaintop of winning an NBA championship, his first of eventual 4. And when you look at this, regardless of what you think of LeBron, the accomplishments are there. Compete in 10 NBA finals, 8 of them consecutively since he went to Miami, going back to Cleveland, 4-time MVP. LeBron has achieved so much that I think it started when he made that move to Miami.
Wow. So yes, from Nicholas. Gerald.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a question. Like, yes, there was backlash that might have cost him an MVP, but he also won 2 titles in Miami, went to 4 finals in a row. And then that put him in a position to come back to Cleveland as a hero and compete for more championships. And then that put him in a position to go join the Lakers, who are like the most hated franchise ever, and compete for more titles there. So yes, it was controversial at the time. There was a lot of backlash, but it kind of opened up these doors to player empowerment that we had been seeing slowly creaking open. So I think it was the right call for him.
Interesting that you bring in the player empowerment at the end, which is obviously something that's really good for the players. And sometimes it ends up being good for the fans. Although I remember the night of the decision, it was not good for the fans in Cleveland, who were having a very rough night. I remember many who looked like they were going to no longer be sports fans. You're both saying that it was the right decision. I guess I guess I'm leaning slightly more towards Gerald here, the way you underlined it. And look, he didn't, but I don't think he needed to prove anything in Miami for Cleveland to come back. But I do think it opened the door, the move ultimately, to sort of him realizing that the thing that would mean the most to him and his greatest accomplishment in his career, I think we would all agree, was coming back to Cleveland and winning a title there with that team down 3-1. That was the biggest cementing of his legacy. Gerald, you're on the board here with a 2-0 lead. Let's see if Nicholas can get back in it with question 3. One more. We're looking at fans here, even though it's an NBA question. But so Danny Green plays a year for the 76ers, and he's got advice for the Sixer fans, Philly fans, who, of course, got their long history, that, quote, they need to be riding with us regardless of how things are going. And we're talking about the booing for Ben Simmons, and it didn't help him. And perhaps that actually impacted the Sixers' ultimate ousting in the playoffs here. Is Green right that booing Ben Simmons, or any player for that matter, can really only hurt the ball club? Gerald.
He's right, but saying the quiet part out loud that Philly fans are ruthless and probably need to chill out isn't going to help the situation at all. Like, if anything, it's just going to make it worse, because he called attention to it, and Sixers fans aren't happy with Ben Simmons right now. And they probably won't be happy with Danny Green after this either. Like, they don't have time for complaints, even if they're valid. Like, the bigger issue is that Simmons can't shoot outside of the paint. And he's right that taking out on one player is wrong, but good luck, telling Philly fans that they need to let cooler heads prevail.
Nicholas, does Danny have a point here?
He does have a point, because what is the benefit of booing? Yes, you get some frustration out there. And look, I've been to many Bears games where you can boo the Bears quarterback for going 3 and out in 5 consecutive drives, but it doesn't do anything in terms of making the product better on the field. But and when you think about confidence-wise, you can't feel good hearing 60,000 fans booing at you because you just threw a pick 6 or whatever it may be. So yes, Danny Green is right, but the fans have every right to boo if things are not going their way.
So that was an excellent way to put it all out there at the end. And you are still in your feelings about Mitchell Trubisky. I see it, and I appreciate, even though you didn't directly say it, you let us know. And I am in favor of vulnerability on Sport and Order. And Nicholas, you just went there sitting in the stands while everybody's booing 10 or Bears quarterbacks of years past. And you're like, hey, you are not helping P.T. Willis or whoever you want to pick out be successful here, Jay Cutler. So, Nicholas, you're on the board for letting us see you more, and we understand you just a little bit better. 2-1 the score as we go to question 4. We're going to baseball. Shohei Ohtani is completely out of his mind. He goes 7 innings, beats the Red Sox Tuesday night. He hits his 32nd home run last night. I mean, this guy is absolutely breaking all the rules of what's allowed. You can be dominant on the mound. You can be dominant at the plate. And this question might seem a little bit ridiculous, but I think it's fair. Has there ever been a better baseball player than Shohei Ohtani? This is absurd. Nicholas, what do you think?
Well, Mark, I don't think it's that absurd. Baseball player, not a better pitcher, not a better hitter, but Ohtani's just doing things that you don't typically see. And I'll put the analogy out there. Like, if you're creating a baseball team and you're going out and just playing with your friends, who are you going to want to take? Someone that is just one-sided, can just hit or pitch? You could just take Ohtani, you could do both. And that's the guy that I want playing for me. But in terms of what he's doing and how he's doing it, look, leading the major leagues in home runs, participating in the home run derby as a pitch, and he's a pitcher and a batter in the All-Star game. Ridiculous.
Babe Ruth 2021. Gerald, best player ever. What do you think?
I think he's got a ways to go to work his way into the GOAT conversation, but he's having the best season in MLB history. And right now, Ohtani right now is better than any baseball player we've ever seen. Leading the majors in home runs and slugging percentage. He's stolen 12 bases. He's tied for the major league in bunt hits. And then what he's doing as a pitcher, he's striking out nearly 12 batters per 9 innings. Like, what he's doing is just the all-around complete package, and it's better than any peak baseball player we've ever seen.
Wow. I didn't even look at he's stealing bases too. How can we leave that out? And I think, Gerald, I guess you're right. Okay, fine. He's not he's not there yet, but he's the best player we've seen. I like how you put that. And it's true. We just have not seen this unless you were alive for Babe Ruth, which I don't think either of you two were. You look very right. Yes. Myself either, even with the veteran status that I have achieved in my life. Gerald, you're up here 3-1. Let's see if Nicholas can make a comeback. It's been done before as we go to question 5. So Carlos Correa is staying home. Instead of playing in the All-Star game, he has a kid on the way. The baby, though, is not due until November. And this is always a little tricky subject, but I'm asking the question anyway. Is Correa right to take the time for his family and not represent the Houston Astros in Denver? Gerald, you're up.
Absolutely. I mean, family comes first. We know All-Star games are fun, but they're ultimately meaningless exhibitions. And I don't care if the baby's due in November. What does the baby being due this month, what does that do for him wanting to be with his family? You know how hard pregnancy is on women. So if he has the opportunity to go home and be with his family, I applaud him for spending some time with them and for kind of drawing attention to the fact that paternity leave in this country sucks compared to the rest of the world. We are so far behind in that regard. I think it's okay to normalize this idea that mothers and fathers should be able to take time off work and spend time with their family.
Gerald, with the 100% full support. Nicholas?
And I'm right there with Gerald because I think, look, it's his right to take time off because this is his first child and not his first All-Star game. He's been to one in 2017. So, and the game is lost its meaningfulness in terms of having home field advantage in the World Series. So that's out of the question. It's just an All-Star game, and that's what it is. But he can be there for appointments that they have going on this weekend. Look, it's your first child. Wouldn't you want to be there for every step of the way? And if you have that opportunity to do so, I think it's his right to do it.
Yeah, I think I knew that you guys would both go this way, and I'm the same way too. It's look, there's people are asking the question, and it's of course he should be able to take time off. I was hoping that somebody would go the way of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game sucks, and you came the closest to doing it, Nicholas. So thank you. We need more entertainment out there. Rob Manfred getting rid of the jerseys of the home team and making everybody look universal. Come on, man. People want to see their Diamondbacks, their Cubs, their White Sox, their Red Sox. That was part of the fun of the game. Nicholas, you're still in it here. 3-2 as we go to question 6, and now we go to the Olympics for our last two here. Sha'Carri Richardson, she wins the 100-meter Olympic trials, 10.86, just absolutely straight dominating. She then tests positive for marijuana a couple weeks later, which she said she used to cope with her biological mother passing away. She was not only taken out of the 100-meter run, she's also taken out of the 4x100 relay. She's not on the team. My question is, should she have been allowed to compete in the Olympics and been left on the team rather than booted? Nicholas?
Absolutely. Look, cannabis is legalized in 18 states. And like you said, she used it to cope with her biological mother, dying. And she heard about that in an interview. And look, she's just 21 years old. To hear that kind of news at that age, it's just devastating. It's not like she's consuming marijuana minutes before a race or anything like that. It's just a dumb old rule that needs to change to best reflect, the times that we're in right now. So absolutely, she should have been able to compete. It's the rule that's a problem, not her.
Gerald, are rules, or do they just get this flat out wrong?
No, and I mean, for the rules or rules crowd, like, it's a stupid ass rule. Like, we've seen rules and laws throughout history that are just dumb or evil or unfounded, and it's our job to protest those kind of rules and change them. Obviously, this is nowhere near as important as some of those laws and rules we've seen throughout history, but it is kind of weird that there's still this stigma about weed when we're legalizing it across the country, across the world, when we know now its health and mental benefits. Like, this is a very dumb rule. And especially when you throw on top of it the reason that she was using it to cope with the passing of her mother. Like, it's just heartless and it's outdated and it needs to change.
Yeah, we're both on the same side of the street on this one too. I was looking for someone to say that it's not a performance enhancer. This does not make you better. And Nicholas, you came the closest, saying like, look, she's not smoking weed right before there and like running, 3 times as fast. That's not what was going on. It's totally different than PEDs. So this was just honestly tragic. Like, she absolutely should be representing the country. She's worked so hard to be there. It's terrible what happened. So we tied it up here 3-3, and we are going to end with yet another tricky one here. The virus is spreading around Japan. Tokyo 2021 is right around the corner, and there are more and more calls to actually cancel the Olympics. Only 15% of Japan's population is vaccinated. Right now, the plan is for no fans in the stands, which does not exactly thrill the competitors because, you've worked this hard. You want to be there in front of your friends and family and the rest of the energy as well. So you can maybe basic here or just go off the board. Give me your best creative solution for how to fix the challenges that are currently facing the 2021 Summer Olympics. Gerald, you're up.
Like, I want to say just don't have them because they just declared a state of emergency in Japan, and like 70% of the population doesn't want to have these games. There's protests breaking out, but it's not in Japan's control. It's up to the IOC. So these games are going to happen. So I guess putting a hall monitor in the Olympic Village, because like, I don't know how you keep people, like, we all know what happens in the Olympic Village. I'm not out here to restrict anybody, but it really is just going to come down to individual responsibility here. Yeah, it's just one of those weird situations that we're going through with it for whatever reason, and that's the best I could come up with.
A hall monitor to stop the entertainment that goes on. It's an idea. It's not
Nicholas? A good one, but
yeah, the only thing that I could really think of is to have some kind of bubble like we saw in last year's NBA Finals, where athletes are tested daily. There's contract tracing, socially distanced, but you also got to do that for the tens of thousands of volunteers that are going to be there to help run the Olympic Games. But when you look at this situation, how many people are not vaccinated in Japan, it just there really aren't any good solutions. But that's the best one: having some kind of bubble, being strict with who comes in and out, and making sure everything goes according to plan.
I mean, I was hoping that somebody would say, like, why do the games have to be in Tokyo? It's despite everything you lose. We are moving them to the United States of America, or whoever is ready to set it up and do it. Even if you don't have fans, like, it's just not safe. So, which would really be unfortunate for Japan. But hey, you've got 15% vaccinated. This is not safe. We got to do what's best. Maybe you can have it in 2024. I don't know. But you guys didn't go their way. And Nicholas is calling for a bubble, which I think actually already exists in the Olympic Village. So this one is tight. But Gerald, I'm going to edge it your way with your brilliant idea that we're just going to have more hall monitors. I didn't think that hall monitors were going to be the taker of the victory today, but it goes to the hall monitors and to you, Gerald, which just feels appropriate since your team is in the NBA Finals. Congratulations.
Thank you. I've never been more proud of a terrible idea I've had in my life.
You absolutely, that terrible idea was the best idea, which reminds me of the movie Argo right now. If anybody has seen, this is the best bad idea that we have. Nicholas, before you go, anything you want to promote? And your Bears it's coming around again here, sir.
Yeah, training camp is on its way, but hey, if you're a Bears fan looking for some content, later today, Chicago Audible will have a podcast at 6:30 previewing the Bears cornerback, so check that out.
bring back Kyle Fuller? Anybody? We could discuss that another time. Gerald, how about you? Where can people read your finals coverage?
Yeah, you can read all my finals coverage at fansided.com/NBA. Got the podcast, Valley of the Suns podcast, wherever your podcasts are. And then on Twitter, obviously, at Gerald Bourguet.
At Gerald Bourguet. Gentlemen, thank you for being on. Most importantly, thank you for watching. Sport and Order coming at you on Mondays and Thursdays. Thursday this week. Good to have you aboard. And yes, enjoy the NBA finals tonight. We'll see you next time.